Welcome to the show, Gearheads. We just watched a fantastic Formula One Dutch Grand Prix at Zandvoort. Jonathan Green, this is why we love Zandvoort. Did this race deliver or what?
Yeah, totally. Right from the get-go, the possibility of rain, and it did drizzle a little bit. I thought Verstappen had got a wonder move by going on the softs, getting the place he wanted, because he probably predicted that it would rain, and he could use that to his advantage. Didn't quite turn out that well, but boy, was he gifted an opportunity there with Lando. I feel so sorry for him. That is so rare for both McLaren and just in modern day Formula One to go pop like that, because that's the presumption, isn't it?
Yeah, and you know what? That may be the moment of the season for the drivers' championship right there, because that just created a gap between Oscar Piastri and Lando Norris for the drivers' championship that Lando may not be able to overcome. They've been so evenly matched all year. That may be it.
Yeah, 34 points now, and that's really going to hurt. I mean, it's a good job Monza's only a week away, and he can possibly bounce back. You know, luck is a weird thing in motor racing, and it just seems to be karma works out most years. So maybe Oscar's due a problem of some sort. I wouldn't wish it on him, but I do feel for Lando, because that's not the way I wanted him to potentially bow out of this fantastic battle.
Well, if people are listening from the pre-show, we lost Bob Varsha, but we gained to Jonathan Green. And Jonathan Green is in Canadian Motorsports Park up there for the FR Americas and the Formula 4 regionals. And he also we had to get this guest, because Jonathan, tell everybody who our guest is and why he's here, what he has done.
Well, he goes to high school. He used to go to high school across the road from you. You know, Cooper Shipman. He was on the show a few weeks ago, and literally he's sitting here in his race suit because we couldn't not tell the United States of America that this man has just won 7 races in a row in F4 Americas and has just beaten Carl Kirkwood's record of consecutive wins. He's only got Cameron Dass to go, so if he gets 8, he'll be the all-time. But pretty darned impressive. And now, what was it, 3.5 seconds?
Something like that, yeah. It was more than midway through. I think I drove the front tires off the car midway through, so he was Kika was catching me a little bit at the end, but we were able to hang on.
Well, Cooper Shipman.
That,
I was just going to say Cooper Shipman. Everybody, we got to remember that name, because Cooper, we were just talking about Kyle Kirkwood in the pre-race show about Americans possibly making it into Formula One and how Kirkwood's name has not been mentioned enough. And here you go today and break his record, because when he came through Formula 4, Formula 3, and all the way up to IndyCar, he just killed it, blasted everybody, and you just beat his record. That's amazing.
Yeah, no, it's anytime you're mentioning the same sentences as Kyle, it's always good company to be in. So we got one more to go. Cameron Dass, I think, has 8 in a row. So hopefully next time out in VR we can go and break that one. But super, super awesome. Super proud of everything we've done this year.
Well, Cooper, congratulations, man. That is just fantastic. Fantastic. We're gonna be breaking down this Dutch Grand Prix that we just watched. Speaking of fantastic, and I know you didn't get to see it, Cooper, but man, it was a fantastic race. Johnny Green, what about that dive bomb for Max at the very beginning of the race? He basically made a pass sideways in that corner.
Well, that's Max to a T, isn't it? He on the soft tires. You knew he was going to try something on the first lap, because that was his best hope. And he did that. But there was so much going on. I mean, Lewis and Leclerc going out. Unbelievable. Cooper's probably thinking, what the heck? What's happened?
It sounds like it was a great race I missed. So I'm going to have to go.
You'll have to go watch it. Yeah. But yeah, no, just what we wanted from the Dutch Grand Prix. And I feel for Hamilton especially.
You know, what Max did in these banked corners, we saw that multiple times throughout this race. I think everybody came into this race going, all the pundits were saying, oh, it's hard to overpass, hard to overtake, hard to pass, just it's going to be impossible. Everybody went for it. Leclerc went through it against Russell, went for it. Going down those embankments around the corners, it made for just beautiful racing to watch. It was really fun to watch.
Oh, no question. It's one of the tracks I've really fallen in love with, and I'm really upset that it's not necessarily going to be a constant factor in Formula One. I think they'll have to bring it back, because it's just too good. And while Max is at the top of his game, I hope the Dutch get what they need, which is to see him at home.
Well, yeah, that's true, because I think that's probably the best you could have hoped for today is a P2 against those McLarens. And I think, obviously he would have ended up on the podium, because this is pretty rare now that we're seeing a mechanical failure in Formula One. It's gotten so rare, and it looked like, in fact, Lando came on the radio and said that it looked like an oil leak. He smelled a lot of smoke in the cockpit, and you saw a lot of smoke in the car, and he had to pull over immediately.
Yeah, I mean, his engineer said, "Can you bring it back?" He said, "Nope, it's gone," is what he said, and that is parlance for it's just not going to. I can't start it up even. So I think it went bang. I mean, we don't know the technical aspects, but it looked fairly obvious, and from what he said on the radio, and his engineer's downheartedness was just because they just haven't had a failure like that. It's just amazing. I'll tell you what, I'm going to shock Cooper here. Hadjar on the podium at 19. Hadjar on the podium. This kid's 17 here. But what about that?
That sounds incredible. I mean, just for him. I mean, obviously he's been kind of up and down in his rookie season, but yeah, no, that's pretty cool to see someone that young and up and coming to finally get up on that podium. So,
yeah, you couldn't see it, but like Cooper's face. Sorry, Cooper. I thought you were finished, but you couldn't see Cooper's face.
Like, this is...
But when Jonathan told him that, Cooper was like, "Wow, I can't believe Hadjar's on the podium." Yeah.
All the best races always happen when I'm on the track, and I never get to watch them. And then I actually do get to watch them. They're just single file, so we'll see.
Too fun.
Yeah, you missed a good one today. Well, let me just run down the finishing order because I'm not sure if they've done that on the race broadcast, but I'm going to go all the way to the bottom because Piastri actually just had a pretty close to flawless race, guys, because he led this thing and ended up finishing ahead of Max Verstappen after Lando Norris went out with a failure, followed by Isaac Hadjar on the podium, George Russell in P4, Alex Albon back up to P5. Nice recovery for him. And Ollie Behrman in the Haas finishing 6th. Fantastic. And double points for the Haas because behind Behrman was Stroll and Alonso in 6 and 7, so double points for the Aston Martins. Yuki Tsunoda finishing in the points in P9, and then the other Haas car in P10, followed by Colapinto, Lawson, Carlos Sainz, Hulkenberg, Portoletto, Antonelli, Gasly, and then these 3 cars you wouldn't have predicted not to finish the race, Norris, and then both Ferraris of Leclerc and Hamilton. And wow, not a great day for Ferrari, guys. And Hamilton went out when he was on one of those high banks, and the rain had just started, and it looked like he hit the paint with some of that rain on top. It made it really slick and lost him. And then, double DNF for Ferrari, Jonathan. Not a great day for them.
Awful day, but I have to shout out to Behrman. He did start from pit lane, right?
That's right. He did. Absolutely. All the way up to P6. That may be his best finish.
That's incredible.
Because, it's funny. Wasn't it Behrman who finished P7 for Ferrari last year? I believe that he did. This may be his best finish ever in P6.
That's amazing. And I mean, I guess you can give Ferrari a little bit of solace because he's a Ferrari-owned asset in many ways. And of course, Ferrari engines in that Haas. Not a bad day. A great day for America's Haas team, though.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, fantastic. We're going to have to check the constructor standings because that is going to make the midfield is going to be really shaken. A lot of points in the midfield today. And so we'll take a look at those here in just a few minutes. But in fact, Jonathan sent in a photo. I don't know if, Casey, if you showed this on YouTube, but we have a photo of you, Cooper. You were getting out of the car right after the race. That's really amazing, getting up on the podium. That's fantastic. So, yeah, I just had to look at that on my phone. But Cooper, I mean, I do want to talk about this a little more because, I mean, you now must have a huge lead in the championship. And I'm assuming next year FR Americas is the plan, right?
That's the plan, and I think we're just around 50 points clear right now. So as long as I can hold serve, I should be able to wrap the championship up next time out of VAR. So that'll be the goal, and then I might even be able to get a head start at maybe running in FR for the last round of Barber, which would be really exciting.
Oh wow, that would be very cool. I hadn't thought about that.
I gotta finish out the championship first, so we gotta focus on that first, and then maybe I'll get to have that treat at the end of the year.
Oh, that's fantastic. Well, hey, I want to ask
Chris
you.
Medland and tell Piastri we've got an American coming his way.
Hey, Chris Medland just joined us, and Chris, we have a guest because Cooper Shipman just passed Kyle Kirkwood's record in F4 regionals here in the United States, and with his 7th consecutive win. And I want to get your take on that.
Right, that's damn impressive. Sorry that I couldn't be watching it, man, but Great job.
Thank you.
Yeah, Chris. Well, we've just been basking in the glow of this amazing race at Zandfoort. Makes us wish that it wasn't going away after next year. But what a race, Chris!
Yeah, that was a cracker. I'm trying to fight my way through one of the paddocks actually to see who I can speak to after that one, because I must admit I am targeting racing bulls. I want to go and find Alan Permain and Isaac Hadjar's podium, which you called it, John. Pre-race, you called it. You had him on the podium.
It's funny. I did have the top three. I didn't have them in the right order. I was thinking the rain might get Max up and win this race, but I'll take the getting the podium right just in the wrong order. Heck yeah. Hey, Chris, you got plenty of targets. You were
very close. Very close.
You got the Racing Bulls, like you said, Alan Permain, team principal, and Isaac Hadjar. But also you got Albon up in P5, Behrman in 6. I mean, you got the Aston Martins, Sonoda, Ocon in 10th. Plenty of people to watch out for.
Yeah, there's a lot of stories today, and there's a lot of people trying to get to a lot of different ones. There's going to be some angry drivers as well after some of the penalties that were handed out today. So, yeah, I'm pretty interested to hear from both ends of it. It's going to be interesting to see who's happy and who's not happy today.
I'll tell you one who's not happy, and we all know it, and that's Carlos Sainz. He came on the radio, and when they told him he had a 10-second penalty for contact with Liam Lawson, and he was like, "Are you joking?" And Chris, I didn't get to see the replay of that. I must have been taking notes or something, but what's your take on that?
I felt like it was kind of harsh in the sense that, they both came off badly and they both could have done something a bit different. But reading what the reasoning was from the stewards, I actually kind of get it. I don't want to see so many penalties handed out, but I do get it, because they said that Carlos was not alongside. He wasn't entitled to room on the outside. There was never an overtake going to happen. He was just, his front wheel was in line with the rear left of Lawson. But when Lawson then drifted left, which he did, he basically went to take the wide exit as normal, and switched him, and it was a light touch and 2 punctures. But they said that essentially it made blame room out there. I kind of get that. You're just kind of leaving your nose in there and hoping something happens. So I can see where it came from. I think he was more to blame than Lawson, but maybe 10 seconds seemed a little bit harsh.
Okay, well, that's good. Jonathan, did you see that? Because I was thinking that when I first saw it, I thought maybe it was Lawson's fault.
No, I was actually going over to the podium to see Cooper, but I was listening to it on the radio, and I heard Lawson say to his engineer, "Thanks for the heads up on that," because he really was unsighted, I think, if that's the right incident.
Yeah, I think
that was a different one. That was actually when Leclerc crashed at turn 3. Right. So because that's a banked corner, the way that you're sat in the car, you can't see up the exit of the corner. And Leclerc was there parked on the racing line in a very damaged car, and Lawson was coming round and he heard yellow flags, so he slowed and was looking for something and was caught out by this Ferrari being in the middle of the road. But yeah, that's what yellow flags are for.
Hey, Chris, we talked about it before you came on, but I want to get your opinion on Max Verstappen at the start of the race at turn 2. How about that?
Oh, I thought he'd lost it. He said afterwards that he was trying to line up a move into turn 3 on Piastri. He was going to send it, and it was just too sandy. And it clearly was. You could see the sand coming out from under the car.
Yeah.
No grip there at all. Cracking save. But then you see the onboard, it looks so calm.
Yeah.
And it was anything but. That thing nearly went round.
That is such, to me, I don't see anybody else being able to pull that off. I don't know. Maybe it's just me, but that just was an amazing recovery. It's like, Chris, he was essentially in the middle of a pass, had the car sideways, dust flying underneath it, and ended up making the pass.
Yeah, he did on Lando. He got that one done. But he said he was looking ahead. He wanted another place.
Yeah.
So it nearly cost him. Well, it did cost him the chance to attack Piastri, but seeing the pace that the McLarens had, I don't think it really mattered whether he'd got into the lead or not at that stage. But it just shows his mindset, doesn't it? He went for the soft eyes at the start. He was all out attack in front of his home crowd. It was great to see, and it would have been something special. But I'm also glad he collected it up, because this place would have emptied out quickly if he'd have ended up in the wall at that point.
All right, I got another one for Cooper Shipman. And Cooper, at the post-race interviews, they were talking to Isaac Hadjar, and they said, "Could you have dreamed of being on the podium in Formula One?" And he looked at him and said, "Yes, that's why I'm here, basically. That's what we all do." What's your opinion on that?
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I mean, I think anybody that has gotten to that level has gotten there because they want to be winning and being at the front. Nobody on the grid is just content with just being there. I think they all have dreams of being on the podium and winning races. So yeah, I completely agree with where he's coming from.
Hey, Chris, this is huge championship implications now with Lando Norris retiring. We've now have what, a 34-point gap. I think it's something like that. And I'm maybe a little hyperbole, but I said this could be the moment in the championship.
Rare to have 3-4 days like this in a row.
We lose you, Chris?
As a team, we don't want to see that. We don't want to see reliability issues. We don't want to have that as something that the team's worrying about, but also you want the two drivers to have a fair shot at it equally, and you don't want one of them to have been hampered by reliability over the other. And that's what's happened today. So you could tell, couldn't you? Piastri was actually slightly subdued, only slightly, but compared to what he might have been, because I think he knew that the downside of the day was there's an issue with the car, which could also happen to him.
Yep.
But that it's not the way you're kind of hoping that the title fight is going to play out, and it just took a tiny bit of the shine off it for him. So God knows what Lando's feeling right now with that gap, because if they both have a clean run to the end of the season and no more reliability issues, then one, this will be the unlucky moment that he can point to. But two, it'll be so hard to overturn that. That's a 34-point gap. It is big. I know it's 7 for each race that you can claw back if you're 1 and 2. So hypothetically, let's say they're 1 and 2 throughout the rest of the season. And I'm doing my quick maths that 35 points is 5 races. It's going to take him 5 of the remaining 9 to get that back that he'd have to win.
Yeah.
And that's without dropping points in the others. So yeah, very tough now for Norris.
That's huge. Hey, Chris, I want to get your take on the Charles Leclerc overtake of George Russell earlier in the race, where he dove in. I was saying before you came on, I was like, the drivers didn't get the message that this place is hard to pass because everybody was trying to pass, and it looks so cool on these bank corners. But Leclerc looked like it was going to be under investigation, but no need now. But it looked like he may have held all 4 off at the wrong moment, but I'm not sure. What about you?
I was struggling to look at it because of that corner layout, because you've got 2 corners. So are you going to judge it on whether he was far enough alongside on the outside of turn 11, the right-hand part, which he wasn't quite? But then you could say he's far enough along the inside before 12 to be entitled to room. And at which point does one corner become the other? It makes it really tricky. It's the sort of racing I want to see, but I get that there's rules there that the drivers are meant to follow. And if you're the one defending, you'll think you've done it right and the other guy hasn't, and therefore shouldn't be allowed to overtake you in that way. But it will be a shame if that does lead to a penalty. It still could, post-race penalty points and things.
That's true.
Even grid penalties for the next race. So we'll keep an eye on that one. Same with Lewis Hamilton and that yellow flag infringement. But it would be very, I think very, I don't want to say unfair, but sad if we see a big penalty for that, because it will discourage racing. And on a track where it's tough to overtake, you really, really do not want to be discouraging racing. You want to be telling the drivers, yeah, you can go for it. You can fight hard, because that's what fans want to see.
That's exactly what I was hoping you would say, because that's what I was thinking. I was like, oh no, it was so much fun to watch, and I have to keep saying it at this track with this bank like that, particularly the way that it affects the dynamics of the car coming down and diving in like that. And we saw Max more than once trying to do that, but you're right. I hope it's not a big penalty, and hope they don't do that. But Chris, we talk about the 2 Ferraris out and Lando out, so that obviously opens up a lot of points for the midfield. But how do you think that this laid out as far as strategy and luck, where we've got Albon 5th, Behrman 6th, both Aston Martins 7th and 8th, Yuki in 9th, and Esteban in 10th? I know that's several drivers, but how do you think that played out? Was it mostly smart strategy, a little bit of luck? What do you think?
Kind of both. I mean, I think if you look at Isaac's result, and I can promise you, I'm standing right outside the back of the Racing Bulls garage, hoping to find Alan Permain. But he was quick and then 4th, and just running that race on pure speed the whole way through. So a podium is only lucky in the sense that Norris retired, but he was absolutely on merit, the 4th quickest car, and was going to pick up huge points anyway. No luck involved. Then you go a bit further down, and yes, I think luck brought a few others into it. Certainly Albon, his start was great. He got 5 places off the line, so that put him in the frame. But then he was kind of helped by that Lawson and Sainz incident that meant two drivers were out of that mix, and that's put him closer to it as well. Then Russell, obviously, with a nailing car, Albon nearly got to as well, so he could put the pressure on Russell. So there's other little aspects there. The interesting one for me is Behrman from the pit lane to P6, a career best result. That one is, I think, rolling the dice. Like Haas feel they've got a very quick car. And I know Eo Komatsu's been actually pretty annoyed with the way they haven't always executed with that car. Well, they showed that it was quick today, but I think that execution is partly making the right calls, but partly a little bit of luck too. I mean, you said the Ferrari. Charles Leclerc's first pit stop cost him a place because he was still in the pit lane, I think, when Lewis Hamilton crashed, and then everyone gets a free stop.
Yeah. Amazing from Behrman. All right, guys, let's get a quick break in, and when we come back,
can I hold you there?
Yeah. What do you got,
there, John? Because Alan Permain's just coming out, and I don't know if I get to grab him straight away, but if I do,
we can do
that
it.
would be brilliant. So he looks really sad and down right now. Alan Permain, your first podium as a team principal. How special does that sound?
Amazing. It's been a hell of a weekend. Really hell of a weekend. A fantastic race.
Well, it was all on performance as well. I mean, okay, Lando Norris retired. That gave you one spot, but Isaac was there in fourth, quick throughout. You got the strategy right. How proud are you of the way the team executed that today?
Of course, incredibly proud. The car worked well. I was, I think we spoke on the grid. I was not nervous, but to beat the Ferraris and Mercedes was a tall order. But we had the pace, and so it actually became quite easy. It was stay in front, pull away from Leclerc a little bit, fit the next set of tyres and go. So and then again create a gap. So no, brilliant race. Great from Isaac. Superb performance. He did exactly what we asked of him. There was some time management early on with a one stop. We were looking after things. He did everything we asked of him.
I mean, he is a rookie. We've got to remember, and he's a rookie. Let's also remember who crashed on the formation lap in his first race this season. The maturity he must have had in the car today. I mean, were you calm throughout with him in that place, or were you nervous for him in the final few laps?
You always get a little bit nervous. You saw what happened to Paul Lando in the final few laps. So anything that can happen. So there's always that. I wasn't nervous that he was going to do something crazy or throw it off the track or anything like that. But you never know, and especially when there's a podium in the offing, it's always a little bit stressful. But I tried to enjoy it as well.
And just quick thoughts on the contact between Lawson and Sykes in that race?
I think Carlos got a 10-second penalty for causing a collision, and I haven't actually seen. I saw it. I saw the contact, but I haven't actually seen it through. So I trust the stewards have seen it all and applied the correct thing. But it's a real shame because Liam was there. He was right in contention as well. He would have, of course, benefited hugely from both Ferraris going out. We would have had a mega finish. But anyway, we'll take let's not be too greedy. We'll take what we got.
Yeah, 15 points, but you're right in the mix for fifth in the Constructors' Championship. How's the atmosphere?
I haven't seen the gap to fifth. I think we're back in sixth, which is great. The most important thing is we got a quick car, so we keep delivering. We keep having weekends like this, qualifying well, racing well. It'll come.
Well, prepare yourself for a lot of interviews this afternoon, but congratulations, Alan.
Thank you. Cheers.
All right, fantastic, Chris. All right, coming up right after this, we'll continue to break down the Formula One Dutch Grand Prix. A fantastic race today. Back after this. All right, let's check in with the YouTubers, see what they think about this. Let's see. I got to get back to our YouTube channel here.
I feel a bit coach.
All right.
Sorry to cut you off there, John, but I saw him coming.
No, it's
I'm
perfect.
Like, get him now.
Don't worry about that.
Hey, John.
Yes, sir.
I'm going to duck out because we've got FR coming up.
Okay. All right. Thanks, buddy. That was fantastic.
I'm going to send you a little piece to camera that you can put out on social because when Cooper got the podium, I put it on camera with my Speed City shirt on. So
brilliant. All right. Well, y'all go have fun. Chris and I got it. All right. Yeah. Just you and me,
I'll
Chris.
Stay where I've got signal.
Yeah.
Hey,
all right.
Chris.
Yeah.
If you bump into Lawson in the next few races, ask him if he is in New Zealand for the 70th New Zealand Grand Prix, and if so, he's commentating with me.
Okay, I will do.
All right.
He'll probably be in California. He loves that place, but yeah. Okay.
I know, but no, that's true. He might go home for a bit. Christmas.
All right. Well, when's the Grand Prix? What date?
I want to say January 29th.
How long we got?
He'll be testing. He'll be, assuming he's got a race seat, he'll be testing in Barcelona.
Barcelona. Okay. All right.
But I'll still mention it to him.
Yeah.
All right, YouTubers. Andy P says, deserved win for Oscar. There you go, Andy P. Reliability is always the great unknown in this sport. You think you know what's going to happen, and that is always a possibility. Tough pill for Lando. Happy for Isaac, though. Sure. Absolutely. Kevin Kelly, a rather epic race. I agree with you, Kevin. I hope everybody else did, because I thought it was a fantastic race today. Mike Bowles says, I hate this circuit being removed from the calendar. Yep. Yeah, Andy P says, anyone other than Max, that car gets wrecked there. Hell of a move. I think so too, Andy. I really do. Let's see. Yeah, Kevin says, Ollie. All right, coming back. Here we go.
Hi guys, this is Craig Astley and you're listening to Speed City.
Welcome back to the fastest hour in radio, Speed City.
Don't miss the FIA World Endurance Championship return to Circuit of the Americas with the Lone Star Le Mans. Next weekend, September 5th and 7th, witness the greatest lineup of horsepower featuring world-class brands. This coming weekend, enjoy 6 hours of racing featuring some of the greatest car manufacturers in the world at COTA. This year, there will be not just one, but two Cadillac V-Series.R hypercars gunning for glory in the high-caliber field, featuring former Formula One world champion Jenson Button and four-time Champ Car champion Sebastian Bourdais, with 36 cars from the big-name brands like Alpine, Aston Martin, BMW, Cadillac, Corvette, Ferrari, Ford, Lexus, McLaren, Mercedes, Peugeot, Porsche, and Toyota. The world's premier endurance racing championship is ready to bring the spirit of the legendary 24 Hours of Le Mans to Texas. You can see all the action at Circuit of the Americas starting Friday, September 5th. Go to thecircuit.com to get your tickets. All right, this is Jon Massengale. I'm with Chris Medland, who is live in Zandfoort. Jonathan Green is gone. He's got to go take care of business up there in Canada. And Bob Varsha is now taking care of business at Lime Rock. So, Chris, it's you and me for the rest of the show. But I'm telling you that I thought this was one of the best races of the season.
Same here. I'm just lining up trying to annoy Ollie Behrman, who I can.
Nice.
I don't know. He's in engineering right now. Sorry, we're making plans here, John. We're making plans. We're going to annoy some drivers today because yes, it was a great race. It was full of so much, and I want to try and focus on the high points for people because some of these are people that don't get that much coverage for big results. You know, they sometimes slip away a little bit. And like I say, Isaac Hadjar and Alan Permain there from Racing Bulls. Great to talk to Alan earlier, but I want to get to Ollie Behrman, who was sixth, and to really celebrate that result for him. But I'm told he has to leave very quickly. So he's in engineering, and then when he comes out, he'll be running down to the other paddock. And that is when I'm going to try and intercept him. Although I can see his boss right now, who's also going into engineering, I think. So I'll bother him afterwards as well. I'm gonna hover around Haas all afternoon, and I'll catch them when we get a chance because that's a big result, isn't it? Top 6 for Haas.
Yeah. So let's look at these constructor standings right now. So Haas is, I think, still in 9th. I hit the refresh button. It looks like Haas has 44 points, but that puts him right behind Sauber with 51, and who's right behind Racing Bulls with 60, right behind Aston Martin with 62. So that 9th through 5th, really 9th through 6th is just. Every weekend that could change. Alpine down in 10th with 20, but yeah, nice.
How many
result.
do Williams have?
Williams has 80, so it's at a little bit of a gap there, but not huge. 18 points from Aston Martin to Williams.
Well, that's a big result for them though as well today too, isn't it? With 5th for Alex Albon. That's what's kind of helped them lessen the blow, I guess, of the Racing Bulls result is Albon's score. So, and again, that's come when he had a disappointing day yesterday and managed to turn it around today. Much to the pain of my fantasy team because I went with Carlos. But that's a big result. I guess in many ways, a lot of teams here have kind of kept themselves in the mix. And Sauber will be disappointed not to score. It kind of got away from them. And as it starts raining here in the paddock again, it's been on and off all the time. Jonathan Wheatley's just going past me. Actually, Jonathan, I'll ask you quickly. Sorry, I'm not. It's not a positive day for you today. Yeah, doorstepping you on a bad day, which is very rude of me. But why was this not the weekend maybe we've seen from you recently?
I think just some days you have a bad day at the office. I mean, a bit of bad luck. And I think some decisions we made need to be reflected on. But I think ultimately we just didn't seem to have the pace at this track that we'd enjoyed beforehand. So I think for us, it's just a case of learning from what happened and moving forward. And yeah, the great thing about this sport is we get to do it all again next weekend.
Yeah, in 4 days we'll be in Monza. Hopes that the car will go better there.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like I say, I think it was a bit of an odd race this weekend. It's a shame to come into the race P7 in the championship and then leave in P8. So obviously we'll be focused on recovering that.
Well, we look forward to seeing you try and do that. Thank you for your time on a tough Jonathan Wheatley, the Sauber team principal. I'm running away from the rain now because it is starting to.
And I sure like Jonathan Wheatley. I think I obviously he's a proven leader, but I think it's such a good pickup.
Stories and went and found the guy that didn't manage to score any points.
Sorry, Chris. I think I lost you there for just a second. But I was just saying I would like Jonathan Wheatley because I think he's a great pickup. Obviously a proven leader, and what a great pickup for the Sauber team. All right, we may have lost Chris for momentarily. We'll see if he can.
I have got you back there. Okay. Sorry about that, John. I was actually trying to piece together what you'd said and asked.
I was just saying that Jonathan Wheatley's a great pickup for Sauber because I mean competitive guy too for sure.
But pragmatic, as we're talking about the highs of some of the teams today, where there's lows as well, just not letting it become too low. And as he's just pointed out, in just 4 days we'll be in a new paddock in Monza, looking at a very different challenge. And you don't know how that's going to go, but all you can do is switch focus immediately. Understand what you got wrong here, but don't dwell on it, don't wallow in it, and just switch that focus, make the most of the next race weekend. So I'll admit, if I seem a bit distracted at times on this show, it's because I'm dodging all of the pack up. I think I've mentioned it before that Zandvoort is a bit of a unique layout where we have the team's kind of engineering trucks behind the pit lane and the pit building, but then there's not enough space to put the hospitality units here because it's so narrow. So those are about a 5-minute walk further down towards the final corner and on the outside of turn 3. But because it's so narrow, this pack-up is tricky for the teams. They're doing it in much smaller space than normal. And, of course, they're doing it twice over. They're doing the engineering trucks here, and then they're doing hospitality elsewhere. So I'm having to make sure I don't get in anyone's way. Getting run over is fine. That's my own fault. But I just don't want to slow down anyone's pack-up.
Chris, I love watching this race because not just the race, but at any moment when it slows down, the shots of the layout of the circuit and how it doesn't, to me, I like the fact that it's kind of an old school layout, but also the surroundings. Yeah, there's some big new buildings, but it kind of looks like old school a little bit, like I'm trying to think of American tracks that are similar, but I just like the fact that this is not a polished, perfect track with everything around it like that. I like that, and I like watching that. Oh, we may have lost you, Chris.
I got you back again. I'll admit it's because some rogue Wi-Fi network was interrupting me, so we've got rid of that. It is old school. You're right. It's I mean, they've had to make a number of changes to make it work from a modern standpoint. Someone we interviewed actually earlier in the weekend, I know we've got a clip that you can maybe run on the evening show, or we'll run in midweek, was Esteban Ocon talking about Haas and his kind of life there so far this year. But the reason I was interviewing him was also for a track guide for Racer. And he was explaining, he raced here in DTM before they put the banking in. So when the corners were not cambered like that. And it was still a great old school track even then. But at that point, he was saying, it would have been very tough racing in F1 on it because it would have made it very hard to overtake. You just wouldn't have got the ability to kind of handle the car in a way that would keep you close to the car in front. Here it does. The final corner in particular, that banking is excellent for making it a much longer straight than it really is. But turn 3, you've seen the challenges of it with Max nearly dropping it, with Lewis crashing when it got a bit slippery. We've seen Stroll crash there, didn't we, earlier in the weekend? And then the Antonelli and Leclerc incident, where it does entice a move, but it's not always possible to get it done. As Alex Albon walks past, he's had a pretty good day, hasn't he? 6th place today. It's not a bad day's work at the office for Albon. We'll try and see if we can get James Vowles actually after this one, because I'd like to hear his take on both Albon's performance and the points they've got, but also that Sainz incident that we were talking about earlier, to see if he was unhappy about it.
Yeah. And what did you think about the Leclerc and Russell incident, Chris?
Yeah, that was the one we were chatting about when we a little bit ago about whether it would be a penalty or not. I'm keeping an eye on my emails to see what the stewards say.
I was reading something on Twitter.
It's a tricky one. It really is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure which way it's going to go. I mean, they've all been summoned. Gabriel Bortoleto also has to go and speak to the stewards over driving his car in an unsafe condition when he had that broken front wing. So there's a lot of work to be done by the stewards. The thing that I will admit on that whole topic that maybe has frustrated me a little and confused me is the fact that they've got both Leclerc and Russell going to the stewards to plead their case, to actually talk about it and get to say what they think. That didn't happen with every incident. That didn't happen with the Sainz one and the Lawson one, did it? That was one that was really, really straight decision, quickly made, whether you agree with it or not. The same with the Antonelli and Leclerc, which I think was very clear cut. So why this one then they choose to let the two drivers speak? You're going to be, if you're Carlos Sainz, you're going to be raging because you would have wanted that opportunity yourself for the incident with Lawson, and you didn't get it, and you don't understand why. That inconsistency is what really infuriates both drivers and fans.
Yeah, for sure. I'm just looking at today, and we talked about these midfields and how this got shaken up today, but talk about we touched on it, but not completely. What about Alex Albon's performance today? Yes, strategies. Yes, rain, safety car luck. But what about his race today?
I think it was a very impressive one. I need to find the onboard to see his first lap. I really need to see how he went about that.
Yeah.
Because he went up 5 positions in the first couple of corners, and that's something pretty special. So I'm not quite sure where that came from as I'm watching the challenge here of trying to get cars and equipment out. Racing Bulls are trying to drop the rear kind of trailer of one of their lorries, and it was about to flatten a gazebo that they've got up to cover all their tires. This is very, very treacherous working conditions for the teams here. Anyway, as I say that, going back to Albon, really, really impressive. And I want to see that first lap. What's good there is that not everyone could do it. You guys were talking about, and I think it was Andy P that made the comment that only Max would have saved that moment with turn 3. Well, not every driver is also able to pick, to have that sixth sense at the start, make moves at the start. Here we saw only 1 or 2 positions at most changing on the opening couple of laps, except for Albon, who went up those 5. That was a huge gain, and it completely transformed his race. So that's a really, really special performance, actually, to turn around what had been a frustrating qualifying, because, as I'm told from Albon's team, they had to wait so long at the end of the pit lane before going out for his final run of Q2 that his tyres just completely lost all temperature, and they ended up unable to get the grip from them to do his qualifying run. And that's why he was so frustrated. We heard him swearing on the team radio.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's go ahead and get some messages in from our sponsors real quick. When we come back, we got plenty more to talk about after a great race in Zandfoort. Listen to Speed City back after these messages.
Brilliant. And I can stay dry.
All right. Checking in on YouTube again. Joe Voice Oscar not celebrating too hard because the team is bummed. Good point, Bill Ricker. He says the repeat safety cars magnified the time penalties. And Joe Voice asked the question I did. What's that, Chris?
I said true. Yeah, it did magnify the time penalties.
Yep.
Because if anyone wants to laugh at me, if they were listening pre-race, and I said I was tempting fate and not wearing a coat, then I've been caught out post-race because, again, I wasn't wearing a coat and it started raining just as everyone's trying to pack up, and it's the tough part of the job for them, and then the rain comes down.
Yeah. Hey, I wrote down in my notes 5th consecutive 1-2 finish for McLaren, and had to scratch that one out with what was the lap that Lando went out? 60. Oh, wow. 65.
I think 64, 65, maybe?
Yeah.
So 7 to go. I mean, so close.
Yeah. Let's see. What else is happening on YouTube? Todd Dauber's here. Hey, Todd. He says, welcome. Good thing there were all the safety cars for Max would have lost by a minute. Man, did you guys watch at the end when they restarted after everything and 3 laps to go? Piastri just pulled away from Max immediately, just started putting a gap on him. It wasn't huge.
Turn 3, wasn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you saw it out turn 3. Before that, it was kind of tight, and just the way he took turn 3, and he just disappeared out of it.
Yeah, that's a good point of watching where it happened. So, why did Ollie start from the pit lanes? Was it new power unit? Is that what we decided, Chris? For they left the cover off.
Yes.
Yeah, Kevin Kelly brought
Correct.
that one
Yeah.
up.
New power unit. And
Here we go.
yeah.
Hello to everyone. This is Gunther Steiner. This is Speed City.
Welcome back to the fastest hour in radio, Speed City.
Right now, with zero commitment, try Oracle Cloud Infrastructure for free. Head to oracle.com/formula. That's oracle.com/formula. All right, Jon Massengale, Chris Medland. Chris live in Zandfoort, dodging the teams getting ready to pack up and get out of there. Chris, are you still hanging out near Haas?
I am. I'll paint you a picture. I'm actually hiding under their awning as Esteban Ocon comes around on a scooter in the wet. Careful, Esteban. And I'm parked up by their fuel bowsers. In fact, you late for engineering, Esteban? He is. Oh, he's late for engineering. All right, I can't interrupt him. But I'm right behind their engineering trucks. So he's gone up for the engineering meeting. I'm waiting here for Ollie Behrman to come out of that engineering meeting. And I'm trying not to get in the way. But I can tell you that pallets are open everywhere, tires are everywhere, being taken out of covers and tire blankets being packed away. A number of the team members actually just went into the back of the garage to clear some stuff, and one of them did point out that they're fine with the weather because it's British weather, and it very much is. So it's easing up again now, actually, the rain, but I'm still hiding under one of their awnings. So I'm just trying not to get in their way, but also stay in the line of sight of where Ollie Behrman might emerge.
I bet Ocon
made by targets.
There you go. I bet Ocon looked happy. The whole team's got to be happy right now.
Happy enough, but I think with it, if you think, Ocon started ahead of Behrman in that race.
Oh, yeah, good point.
It could have been one that if you get it, all the calls right, and it goes your way, then you could end up in a much better position. I don't think this was a day for actually any surprise podiums, because I don't count Hadjar as a surprise podium. He was starting fourth, ran fourth, took one place because Norris retired, but it wasn't that something crazy happened or they gambled. He didn't come from miles back to get that podium. That was just a really good performance all the way through. Whereas for the Behrman result and even the Albon result, a lot of places gained to get that, and that they're the ones that everyone else will look at and go, "How did they do that? And why didn't we do that?"
Yeah. Hey, I want to point out something. I know we're on the radio right now, but if you get a chance to go back and watch the television broadcast, they did something that I haven't seen them do, Chris. They spent at least 45, if not 60 seconds or more, focusing on the camera on Piastri's steering wheel. And we got to see all that detail for a long, most of a lap, if not a whole lap. And you got to see all the things that they do and get to see on the steering wheel. Did you catch that?
I caught some of it, yeah. I mean, there's so much data on there. And I think it's great when you get that when there's issues and you see them having to change settings because they have to toggle through so much. It's an absolute massive computer that they're dealing with, just using it to turn the car at the same time. So, yeah, it's very, very impressive, actually. The capacity these drivers have, something that's often explained is how they have the ability not only to drive so quickly, but to do so while dealing with all these other things that you need just to have the car operating correctly. And that's what I really think separates them, actually. You and I, John, could get in and try and give it a go based on, accelerate, brake, turn the wheel. And that's hard enough. But when you're given 100 different instructions all at once and someone's in your ear and you've got to change the balance between different corners, I mean, that's just where it gets away from you.
Yeah.
And race each other.
Yeah. By the way, race each other. I just love the fact that they did it for such a long period of time. You always get these little glimpses and it's great, but that was really cool. I love that. So, hey, I kept an eye on the pit stops. And I think both Ferraris, again, having another gear on the pit stop because they had a 2 second and a 2.1 for the Ferrari team. So another good day on the pit stops for them. But we also had some really fascinating team radios today. And I took a bunch of screenshots of those. And I think maybe there were some frantic ones. Frantic from Alonso. I don't know if you heard that one. But which kind of surprised me. Yeah. He
can get pretty critical of his team, can't he, sometimes? But flip side is they turned that into double points, didn't they, Aston Martin, even with Stroll from 19th?
Yeah. He said, I don't know why you always put me in blank traffic. I don't know. He was really – they asked him how the balance was on the tires, and he says, I don't know. So yeah, they turned that good. Yep.
I mean, the challenge he has there, by the way, if anyone's wondering, well, why is he saying I don't know? It's because the dirty air you get following another car really disrupts the feeling of it anyway. So you can't tell what is just the car's handling and what is the scenario that you're in by following other cars. And you're limited on how quickly you can go. So you're not pushing the car to its ultimate limit to feel the balance. You're driving reduced from that limit. Whereas if he's in clean air, he'd be pushing, being able to get a real feel for the car and be able to give them a clear answer on that balance. So that's why he was angry. But it definitely sounded like it's a chance for him to vent at the fact that he didn't have a good balance, but also didn't have clear air ahead of him.
Yeah, I touched on this, but here's the actual radio message text from Carlos Sainz when he was told that he got a 10-second penalty for contact with Lawson. He said, "Are you joking? You're joking." I mean, it's the most ridiculous thing I've heard in my life. Okay. I said I was accusing myself of hyperbole, maybe a little bit there. And then he followed that up with, "Make sure we go visit the stewards after the race. I want to have a talk with them." So Carlos Sainz not happy. And Chris,
he's going to have to join the queue, though, isn't he? In the stewards, like I said, there's a lot of them, a lot of summons at the moment, a lot of investigations ongoing. So he's going to have to wait for quite a while, I think, if he wants to get himself in there for a chat with them.
Yeah, something I noticed, and maybe nothing. But that last, I guess, when Lando had his caused the yellow safety car with his problem with the car, I noticed a lot of slow pit stops, like really slow. And I guess there was just not an urgency. But I mean, I saw 4, 5, 6 second pit stops. That's probably what it was. It just wasn't the urgency. But yeah, fantastic race today. Anything else that I have not talked about, Chris, that caught your eye?
Well, I mean, you mentioned it in passing there about how good the Ferrari pit stops were, and I was just thinking that must be the only good thing of the day for them. And the timing of that, really, in the fact that they are heading to their home race in Monza, where the pressure will be massive, and they'll arrive with question marks over a double DNF, which has really hurt them, certainly in the championship picture with Mercedes as well. But I think there were actually signs of progress there, certainly from Lewis Hamilton's side of the garage, over the whole weekend. His performance in qualifying, half a tenth off Leclerc, and in the race he was sat right there and just trying to find a way to make a bit of progress through traffic, and wanted to try something different behind George Russell, didn't he? And was asking them, right, let's try and make a move here by undercutting him. Well, all that did was trigger Leclerc's pit stop, which then triggered Hamilton's crash, and it all starting to go wrong. But I actually think it's one of those days that's going to really reflect or seem really bad for Ferrari. And actually, there was nothing wrong with the first pit stop with Leclerc, but the timing turned out to be really unlucky with Hamilton's crash. Then the second one, the team radio sounded like Leclerc did not want a second pit stop at that moment. He wanted to ignore what Antonelli was doing, which was trying something different, and he wanted just to keep pushing on the tyres he had. He was happy with them. And Ferrari overruled him, called him into the pits, and when they did that, he then obviously came out near Antonelli. Antonelli hit him, and he retires as well. But if Antonelli doesn't hit him and he stays ahead, then no one's questioning that decision so much either. So I feel like circumstances have really conspired against Ferrari to make it seem like a worse day than it was. But obviously the result really will sting.
Yeah, and if you listen to Lewis Hamilton compared to the last time he was on the radio before the break, he did not sound anywhere near as despondent. He just sounded like it was in fact, he even brought it up, Chris. He was upset and that he was not able to continue the race. But he said, we made progress this weekend. He brought that up on team radio, and I thought that was good. But I want to get your take on what happened. Do you agree with what the race commentary was talking about? The paint was slick, and that caused the problem. Is that what it looked like to you too?
Yes, but I still saw other drivers were using it. I think he probably, and I say probably because I don't have the data, but I think he probably just carried that tiny bit more speed in than he essentially needed to or could in those conditions, because the previous laps, you're in traffic, you're kind of balancing it. But because Leclerc had pitted, Russell's pushing hard in response because he needs to get a quick lap before pitting himself. So you probably see them all push that a little bit harder in the next corner. And I think Lewis maybe took a little bit too much speed in there, which pushed him a bit wider, but also with more steering angle, trying to bring it back. And then with the slick paint as well, you have less grip and it all got away. But what's interesting as well is to do with the camber of that corner, because once he had the slide and he caught it, he obviously was wide and heading towards the barrier, but I thought there was a chance he was going to stay away from it. And then what happens is at the top where the barrier is, it starts to level out on the outside of the corner. It's like the camber sort of ends and it flattens off. And his front right tyre was lifted just off the ground a little bit. It wasn't in full contact with the surface of what was the outside of the track because of the angle of the corner. So he couldn't then get the purchase from his tyre to then turn the car. And that's why it looked a little bit almost weak in the way it hit the barrier there as it stuck out and damaged the car and took him out the race. So that was, kind of a few things coming together there. But that's what, when we talked about this being an old school track, one of the things I think is so good about it is that mistakes are punished. Hamilton went like that today, but the fact that if you don't get it right and you go wide in a corner like turn 3, which is a challenging one, which drivers say, Esteban Ocon said to me on Thursday, you get it. You don't get it right every lap. You rarely ever get it right. Every lap's different. Well, you get it wrong, it punishes you.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, let's get our last break in, and when we come back, we'll see if Chris can catch anybody else, but I've got some more stats for us, too. You're listening to Speed City F1, back after these messages. All right, let's see if the YouTubers are still. What's everybody doing out there right now? If you're listening to us, are you getting ready to go barbecue some lunch? You're going to watch some IndyCar today? What's happening? What are y'all doing? Andy P says Lando was technically classified as 8 laps down. A bit ridiculous. Okay.
But he's completed enough of the race distance. That's why.
Yeah. Joe Vorshabay says, if you don't hit the corner right, you're on 3 wheels for a while. Huh.
Yeah,
True.
correct.
Yeah.
That's why no one takes that inside line, really tight inside line, because the car just can't handle the camber.
My favorite clip of the weekend, maybe Max's crazy beginning with going off in the dust, losing the car and saving the car. I don't know. That's definitely up on there on my list.
If I suddenly disappear, John, on you, it's because Ollie Behrman has emerged and I jump on to interview him while we're in a break.
Okay.
But hopefully he won't do that until we're back.
Hey,
I'm going to make sure this is paid off.
Okay, yeah. Hey, I did clip the Esteban Ocon down. I got a 3.5-minute clip on his future with Haas. So we have that one if we want to try it. We got the full 6 minutes. We got that. And we also have the Cadillac stuff that we haven't played all of that. So we may touch on that too. But I definitely don't want to go to an interview, recorded interview while you're hovering there.
Yeah, what my aim here is just I'll get Ollie when he comes out, and then I'll go down to the other paddock and see if I see anyone on the way. But that will include the risk of losing signal, because I've also hovered here because I've got signal.
Okay, cool. Andy P says he's going to be hanging out and going to fire up the grill later. Okay, there you go.
Nice.
I forgot where Andy P is. I want to say north central of the country. I don't know why I'm thinking that. All right, here we go.
I'm Liam Lawson, and you're listening to Speed City.
Welcome back to the fastest hour in radio, Speed City.
Thank you, Liam Lawson. In business, they say you can have better, cheaper, or faster, but you only get to pick 2. What if you could have all 3 at the same time? That's exactly what Cohere, Thomson Reuters, and Specialized Bikes have since they upgraded to the next generation of the cloud, Oracle Cloud Infrastructure. OCI is the blazing fast platform for your infrastructure, database, application development, and AI needs, where you can run any workload in a high availability, consistently high performance environment and spend less than you would with other clouds. How is it faster? OCI's block storage gives you more operations per second. Cheaper? OCI costs up to 50% less for compute, 70% less for storage, and 80% less for networking. Better? In test after test, OCI customers report lower latency and higher bandwidth versus other clouds. This is the cloud built for AI and all your biggest workloads. Right now, with 0 commitment, try OCI for free. Head to oracle.com/formula. That's oracle.com/formula. And Chris Medland, I did exactly that this week. Speed City is now on the OCI cloud. We're just getting started with it, so we'll let you know how it turns out. But where are you, buddy?
I am still very much parked outside Haas. They are so sick of me being in the way of their backup, but I am waiting here for Behrman to reappear. And
they think you want a job or something? What's going on?
No, I don't think they know what I want, but what they want is for me to get out of their way. But I will admit, I can't yet work out if there's a scooter that I need to be aware of, because these drivers, especially at this track, love a scooter to get around quickly. I've just seen Liam Lawson come back for his debrief, having got changed after the race, and he was on one of the scooters.
How did he look?
So you've got to move quick.
Happy?
He looked okay, actually. He looked chilled. Not happy.
Yeah,
but, he looked kind of philosophical, I think. Obviously, for the team, it's a good result, but he's not the one getting that big result, which will always sting a driver. But he also, I believe, doesn't feel he's done much wrong in his race. So it's just circumstance. If it had been his own error, then he'd probably be more downbeat. But he looked okay. He didn't look particularly upset. Let's put it that way. But no, so I'm hoping to grab someone who should be much happier and when he finally emerges.
I got a stat for you. Yuki Tsunoda scored 2 points today, right? So when was the last time?
He did.
When's the last time? Do you remember last points and how many races in between?
Yuki's last points. I'm going to go back to crikey. Did he get points in Austria?
Nope. It was Italy. Right after Miami. Emilia Romagna.
In Imola when he had the huge shunt.
Yep.
That's why I thought he didn't get any.
Yeah, he got 1
Fair
point.
play.
He got 1 point. And that means he had 7 races with no points in between. So welcome points right now. And I love to ask Chris these questions because I'm always stunned at how many times you get these right. I've accused Chris of having a neural link connecting him back to the F1 server with stats. But
you call me a nerd, don't you? That's what you're trying to say.
Exactly.
Which you would not be the first person this weekend. You know, Pierre Gasly called me, not just me, but a group of us nerds on a Thursday because we did our Formula One kind of media and comms teams NFL fantasy draft in Alpine. And we're all sat there with the draft screen up. We've got football shirts on, a couple of beers, some snacks. It was a really good night. And he came by, stuck his head in, being like, what's going on here? And when he realized it was fantasy, he was like, it's not even real. And then he said, I thought I was a nerd. You guys are even bigger nerds. So, yeah, polite of him.
I have not heard anything. I don't know if you've had a chance to look anywhere about McLaren, about Lando's car, about what happened yet.
So I only heard Lando's radio at the time saying that it was an oil leak. Yeah, that's the message he was getting on his dash. But I will flick through to see if anything's come in on some of the groups that do explain who says what, where, and when. There's an upset Carlos Sainz that I see. There's a few drivers that are unhappy with crashes, but that's not his, Lando. But he doesn't seem to say. He's just feels unlucky that it hurts from a championship point of view, but that there's not much more he can do. He said it was instant though. So he doesn't know what the actual issue was. The engine just shut off and that was it. But what's also good is he praises how good their reliability has been. I think that's a really nice touch, actually, because it did catch me by surprise too. When was the last time we saw a kind of a failure like this from a McLaren? I think that's their first reliability retirement of the season.
Hardly any team, much less the McLaren team, who's killing it this year. I got another stat for you, Chris. Isaac Hadjar, with 15 points today, has scored more than the second Red Bull car, 12 points, in the entire season.
Yes. Oh, here's Ollie Bem. He's going to cycle. All right. Well, before you cycle, Ollie, because you've got to leave quickly, how do you feel about your best ever career result?
Well, that's a good way of putting it. I didn't realize that. No, it was a crazy race. Very lucky to be up there, but you need a bit of luck in this game.
Well, and how did you do it from the pit lane to P6?
Good question. We definitely got on the right side of a lot of calls. And we needed that. But the car was also very fast. And yeah, just really proud of the guys. That gives us good momentum for the next few races.
Well, I'll let you go and enjoy it. I'll let you cycle back, so then you've got a flight to catch. So well done. Right. I couldn't paint the picture at the time, but I have just genuinely had to walk very quickly in front of him while he was cycling through tiny gaps of trucks. But he's now off. So once we're into the clear, I knew I wasn't going to be able to hold him back.
Well, and amazingly, you had no signal problems, but that's great.
Once.
Yeah, that's funny.
We also got the cable got caught on his brake lever as well, so I nearly lost the microphone completely.
That's great that he didn't know that was his best result ever.
No, I mean, I nearly didn't get that question out because I was trying to make sure I stood in the right place while he got onto a bike and he was doing up his overalls before he did it. But I'm glad that I got that stat right at least. But I'm amazed. Surely someone else would have asked him that. Top 6. We saw the finish and thought, wow, big result for him too. And then next thing you know, everyone, of course, is focusing on Hadjar. But I thought as soon as he was going to get interviewed, people would be putting that to him. But I guess let's also say this from a Haas point of view, and Eo Komatsu's still in that debrief, so I'm going to try and make my way to the other paddock. Otherwise, I would have grabbed a word with him. But from a Haas point of view, it's not a huge surprise to have a result like that, is it? It's not like outrageous to have a top 6.
Yeah, totally. It's not. And, it's funny because they had such a bad qualifying, but even in the post-qualifying interviews, I didn't hear any, they didn't sound downbeat. But, and speaking of Behrman, you remember his next best finish, you remember last year when he made that remarkable debut at Ferrari and finished P7. Remember that?
Yeah. Yeah. So he's beaten that in a Haas from the pit lane in Zandvoort, which is not really a track you would expect to be able to go from the pit lane to the top 6, I would say.
I remember that one because I called that one. Remember that? You know how I love to pick a random, where somebody's going to finish, and I picked Oliver Behrman to finish P7 than he did last year for Ferrari. That's
all right. And you picked the top 3, or not in the right order, but the top 3 in today's race too. We remember. We get it, John.
Dude,
you're a guru.
I am like a broken clock. I get it right a couple times, but I definitely got a little bit. That was a little bit of luck today, but I was thinking that Max might win it because of the rain chances. You were the reason I picked Max to win it, and it was because you were looking over your shoulder, and I thought you were going to be spot on because right when we went off the air on the pre-race show, you had predicted rain in 20 minutes, and it came pretty close to that. So that's why I picked Max. But what else, Chris? We got about.
It was actually a bit of a shame that lack of rain getting too hard. Actually, it was just sprinkling enough, but it was not heavy enough to ever make the track wet. So
we can't
look
back, dude. We can't go back because that race was fantastic to watch. It had just enough of a little bit of elements of rain, a little bit of unreliability, strategy, tires. It was fantastic. By the way, speaking of tires, you see that Liam Lawson had used up all his tires, and after that incident, he ended up basically having to run the rest of the race on softs without any choice. I saw that. More strategy there.
Yeah, although I think a few people also did find that the soft wasn't too bad today. So quite a few went for it. And I noticed the choice there I thought was going to be more exciting when you had the 2 McLarens on the hards for the final stint and everyone behind them on soft. So I was like, here's Max's chance. 2 steps softer tyre, should get a good performance advantage from that. But it didn't quite shake out that way, did it?
Yeah. Hey, I'm glad. By the way, Cooper Shipman, we decided to grab him and bring him on because he goes to high school. If I look out the window of this studio, that's where he goes to high school, right across the street from the studio here. And the fact that he is now past Kyle Kirkwood in consecutive wins in Formula 4 Regional. And I mean, it's somebody to keep an eye on. You never know. And by the way, he came in the studio on the show earlier this year, and he was fantastic on the radio. He was really mature. I think he must be 17. He's going to high school. So he was great. And it'd be fun to keep an eye on him. Chris, we got 2 minutes. Anything left that you want to talk about?
If I'm honest, not like off the top of my head. I've run down into the bottom paddock to try and see if anyone's around. But at this point, it's actually more guests down here and pack-up time. But less of the engineering teams and drivers and bosses, it looks like. So I fear that everyone's getting ready to ship out. But I guess that means we can throw it forward to Monza, can't we? That's next weekend.
That's true. Yeah.
What an event that is. What a venue. You talk about classic circuits, old school circuits that you love seeing racing at. Monza doesn't always create the most exciting races. It can actually be strangely tough to overtake around there, but it's unique and it's special and atmospheric. And I'll tell you what, if Ferrari can just get it together, hopefully they used up all their bad luck today and they get all the good luck next weekend, that place is going to be rocking.
Yeah. Because look, there were lots of encouraging things we saw today from Ferrari. So yes, wouldn't that be fantastic if they could have a really great day? And I don't know what that looks like exactly, but they're going to pull out all the stops. They're going to make sure the car is 100%, they're going to sacrifice any other following races to make sure the car is great. That kind of stuff, Chris, don't you think?
Yes, they'll give it everything. I mean, I think what looks like a great race for Ferrari is a Ferrari win. I think that's the only way they can approach it. Sorry, just watching Zach Brown head out the paddock. He's still getting mobbed for photos and politely smiling, but he seems downbeat. I think, it was something he said in Hungary when we last spoke to him in depth as a group of media, where they were just trying to make sure that the team didn't get in the way of the title fight, that they gave the drivers every opportunity, but it wasn't about the team. And today, reliability means, it's certainly not about the driver. Yep. It's about the team or the engine.
All right. Well, let's wrap up the show. It was fun. Chris Medland, thank you, sir. Jonathan Green, thank you. Bob Varsha, producer Casey Johns, thanks everybody for tuning in. However you did it, whether it was on SiriusXM or on YouTube, we really appreciate it, and we will talk to you next week.